It's great to chat to you today, Oscar. Really interested to learn about your paddling career, and hopefully, this interview will provide our audience with some tips and insights into you. So, the first question I have for you today is, how would you describe yourself?
Well, I think I'm very much self-motivated, disciplined when I have to, and very driven to do well, even though I'm fairly old.
And how do you think people would describe you?
Well, it depends if you know me or you just heard about me. So that's the funny thing. If people know me, then very helpful, coach people, help people out. And if people don't, they think, oh, no, this guy's full of nonsense. He's full of himself. He's too overconfident. I get hear those things, but not that often, because I meet everybody.
I've definitely heard you're confident, and I think that plays into your sporting performance, so it goes hand in hand. Now, how many years have you been paddling for?
I've been paddling now coming up for probably 48 years.
Wow, that's incredible.
And so I didn't stop, So I started at 6 or 7. I remember even when I was a lifesaver under 8, and I was still under 8 when I started nippers, and I was paddling a little bit, and then got very serious in paddling at about 12 or 10, around there, So it's been a lifelong career in paddling.
And
what? It's a fun part of it,
Yeah, it seems to be almost a part of your lifestyle where you just so amped on paddling all the time. I mean, I watch your videos and stuff, and it even motivates me to get out there and to try and lift my game. So, what are your 3 greatest sporting achievements?
It'd be hard to break it down to 3 because I've had so many different sports. I mean, to give you an example, when I won junior and senior Ironman, it was a big achievement. In fact, if you go one back, when I won Nipper Ironman, Open Nipper Ironman, that's what's basically started when I was 13. Then I won junior and senior Ironman when I was 14. And then I went on to win junior and senior Victor Ladorum, which are big achievements in themselves. And I made the national team at 14 years old. There's not many people, the senior national team. And then I went on to the Molokai to race Grant Kenny for the first time. It was fantastic because he had won 4 years in a row. And he also won junior and senior Ironman in Australia. So the first time I had an opportunity to race him. And that was fantastic coming from South Africa, hearing about Grant Kenny. He was such a big name, and beating him and then winning 7 in a row. And then as you get older, then the achievement of winning my 10th one and winning my 12th one at 49 is also out of the world. Not many people win at age 49. So those are fantastic. And then again, other minor sports like making the TEL rugby was very good at TEL schools rugby, and then winning South African bodyboarding championships, so in different sports. And then obviously winning the Unkamas a few times, and the Cellar Descent was fantastic. My father won it in 1968, and Herman and I won it in 1986. So it was the first family to win and get your name carved on the bridge. And then going to the Olympics is everybody's dream. Not that we did very well there, but it's still, at the end of the day, it was an achievement to go there. So there's so many achievements that I did. It's hard to say, these are 3 big ones. But I say winning 12 Molokai has to be number 1, I suppose. Going to the Olympics is probably number 2. And number 3 would be winning junior and senior Ironman or junior and senior Victor Ladorum.
What is the first ski that you've ever paddled on?
The first ski I had to make. In fact, I made my first ski with the help of my father and Tony Scott. And at that stage, I was 14. And at 15, I made my first Chalupsky, which was eventually called the Oscar ski in South Africa and Chalupsky in overseas. And that boat went on to win 7 Molokais in a row, that boat. And interesting enough about it is that was also the first production surf ski in the world, made by a kayak center at the time.
Now, when I was growing up, I remember, standing on, I think it was Addington Beach and watching Matthew Bowman and Brett Challenor come in on an absolutely massive day. I'd like to know from you, what is one of the craziest paddles you've ever done, and what happened?
Again, there's a lot of crazy paddles that I did. I mean, as you know, sometimes in Durban we had some 30, 40 knot winds, and the big thing compared to now Portugal and in Cape Town when I paddled. Yeah, I was coming in at Salt Rock, and believe me, the break, it was a huge day. You couldn't even see the beach, and I had it coming through huge surf. And again, I've broken 3 or 4 boats coming in and going out just to do a downwind paddle. But the most memorable, I mean, I was never really that scared. I know the one time I had an interesting incident. I fell off in Molokai, right in front of the swimming pool. I pushed my ski in, and the current was going out. So my ski went to the beach, and then I swim around the Molokai pool and swim through the rocks. It's such a big day. And the pro lifeguard, Peter Swan, was there. He said, listen, none of you go out there because you'll have to rescue yourself. He knows what he's doing. And I swam in over the rocks into the swimming pool. That was quite a memorable day, I remember. And interesting that the pro was quite sent any lifeguards out. He says, no way. You're not going to be able to rescue me. So I've had some big days at North Beach when I out and I body surfed by myself. I mean, the first time I went out when it was huge, I actually got too scared to come in once when I was like 6 or 7. It was also a long time ago, a good memory.
Yeah, I remember even working at Molokai a few times, and I've seen the surf come through there, and geez, you don't want to be out in the water there on a big day. Now, what is one of the longest paddles you've ever done in one go without stopping?
Oh, my longest paddle I just did last year. I did 80 kilometers from Villa Pride, Ankara to Porto. It was 80 Ks, and I was averaging just under 18 kilometers an hour. Heart rate 120, and just had fun. I took no water, no nothing. I had no breakfast, nothing. I said, okay, it's a nice day. Let me go and do a downwind, because downwind paddling is like being on a roller coaster full time, and it was really fun. I mean, I really had a lot of fun in the race. And then obviously the first day of the piece, London's about 72 or 73 kilometers, and I've done that many times. Obviously, piece London I've won 10 times in a single and 1 in a double, or 9 times in a single and 1 in a double. So, and the first day is always fairly long. But the nice thing about my paddle in Porto, it was downwind, so it's fun the whole way. And
did you think you had a little bit left in the tank that you could have maybe got to 100, or was that you were happy with 80?
I think I could have gone. In fact, that day I could have easily gone to 100 kilometers. I didn't realize, again, it's quite chilly, and I actually had sore hands. The only thing that hurt me was my blisters. The next day I was out, and happens to be Brandon van der Walt happened to be there, and I paddled with him the next day. After an 80K paddle, we were going to do another 40K. So I didn't feel bad, and my ultimate aim is to break the 24-hour record, which is sitting at 209 kilometers, because the distance from Porto to Lisbon is 300 kilometers, and I plan to do that one of these days. If the wind blows, I'll just say, okay, let me just go do it, and that'll be the Guinness Book of Record. But you have to have lots of admin done with double Garmins and GPSs and following boats and things like that.
Now, I hear you saying that in that 80-kilometer paddle, you didn't take any juice, or to me that sounds, incredible how you would go that distance without juice. Is there science behind that, or is just that something that you think is better for you?
Yes, there's science behind it. And I've trained my body for many years. I've done many paddles, and funny, Professor Tim Noakes did a whole lot of research with me in the early 1970s, and found out that you don't need that much water. In fact, you don't need that much water. And a book came out called Waterlogged by Tim Noakes. So, number one, your body in a fasted state is got sort of more energy to concentrate and focus on paddling as opposed to digesting food and things like that. So I took water with me. Just took water just for fun, just so I could make the boat heavy, 3 liters, and I didn't touch it. So I just took it there in case I'm thirsty, and I didn't get thirsty, so it was no problem. And I didn't get hungry either. I only had my first meal in the evening.
Okay. Now, who's one of your greatest rivals, and what made that person so tough to compete against?
Well, you understand, I've been doing this for 40 years at the top, so there's been a lot of different rivals. Obviously, when I started out, the biggest rival in Ironman was Herman. He was the biggest rival. I mean, Herman and I won 13 Ironmans between us. So, and with life-saving, then I was in paddling all the time, and then the biggest rivals and sort of marathon paddling were a lot of like a Mark Perros of this day, and Benny Rangers, all guys from all over South Africa. And then in ski paddling, obviously Hank was a formidable force, but only came back later, and David. And overseas, obviously, I only lost to him once, Dean Gardner in the Molokai. And the other person who was very good in Molokai is Herman was quite good in Molokai when he went there. And then nowadays, the guys I have to beat now is Corey Hill, Hank, and Clint Robinson. Those are the hardest guys to beat in Molokai. The reason why I do well in Molokai is a bit longer, so it gives me a chance to be with them when the racing actually starts. A lot of these short races, I lose 2 to 3 minutes at the start, and then I start catching them up at the end.
I know one aspect of paddling, which is catching the runs, is very difficult for a lot of people. And in my career, I've primarily focused on Ironman racing, and only in the last 3 years have started to do the downwind stuff. And I've learned a few things. And when I paddle on the runs, one of the things I've heard is, maybe set your Garmin on 1,000 meters and then look at your time every 1,000 meters to see how you're going, and maybe that you'll change direction. Another thing I've learned is, don't paddle uphill. Can you offer any tips on catching runs? And also, what is your approach to catching runs?
Yeah, I'm again different to most people because I'm obviously older and slower, so I have to use my brain and not my brawn. And the most important thing is to know where you're going, because most people make that mistake is they catch runs that aren't going in the right direction because they don't actually know where they're going. And then once you've established where you're going, then you've always got to catch the runs at 90 degrees, meaning that it's exactly 90 degrees, so because that's the easiest to catch. And once you're on the run, then you go towards where you're going. And when you're going towards when you go, once you know where you're going and you're going in the right direction, then you've got to look for the next run. So it all happens. So the thought process goes, obviously, where am I going? Second, be 90 degrees to the wave. Third, technique. Fourth, where's my next run coming from? And fifth, try and stay on the top. If I haven't got any runs, try and stay on the top like a surfer. Go left and right, wiggle your rudder, slow down, especially like yesterday when I was doing those Miller's run. I was just staying at the top and then letting myself go down when I had the opportunity to jump over or to keep going. So, and I'm very conservative. I believe that to get the power down as opposed to increase your reps. So you start off slow. Yeah, so what I also concentrate on is in cadence. I like to keep a low cadence at the start of catching the run, and then once I'm on the run, I increase my cadence with the speed of the boat, like a cyclist does. They start in a big gear, and then as they go faster, you increase your cadence. I do the same thing. So that makes me very slow. I don't rev very hard. And I've got a little bit of
sorry, Oscar,
left in me.
We'll edit the video so it won't seem as broken up as this. So you're just going to have to start from where you said high, somewhere around there.
Yeah. So as you say, I like to have a slow cadence to start off catching the run. So concentrate on technique, power, pull hard and push hard on your legs, and catch the wave. And then my cadence will increase as I go from 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 25. And then because my cadence is not so high, I can jump over at 25 kilometers an hour to go to 26 kilometers to jump over another wave. So keep your cadence low. It means that you can link more runs together, and that's the secret, is to link the next runs up. And that just takes time. And one of the drills I've developed is you've got 50 strokes on both sides, 1 to 50 like that. And you see how far and how fast you can go, because that really shows, because then you have to think, okay, should I sprint and catch this wave, or should I wait for a better wave? And that's what you have to concentrate all the time. I mean, in those 50-stroke sessions that I do with people, I beat them by 100, 200 meters. And they're much faster than me. But I concentrate on my technique, number one, and make sure I've got a low cadence, powerful stroke, so when I get the opportunity, I catch the run, and then I try and link it, because then I'll just increase my cadence to catch the next one. So you've got to, once you've got your boat speed going, you've got to keep it going all the time. That's what makes really fast paddling.
What is the most common mistake when catching runs?
Most people try to catch too many runs, okay? So what happens is they catch too many runs, the boat just sits there and wallows, and they fill up with water, And then as they fill up the water and they fall off the back of the wave, they think, okay, now I've lost this wave, I'm going to go hard. When I fill up with water like that, I concentrate and say, okay, relax. It's gone. Let me first get all the water out of my boat, and then I will line it up and get the best wave. Because if you get one good wave, it's much better than getting 10 half waves.
True. What can you do in flat water to improve catching runs?
Obviously, number one is to get your technique better, so do technique sessions. And then number two is do very high-powered short bursts with very small rest. So 15 strokes on, 5 strokes rest, 10 strokes on, 5 strokes rest, 5 strokes on, 5 strokes rest. And just repeat those all the time, because what you're trying to do is get some really high speed and short while and have a short little rest and go again. That's what you can do on flat water. And obviously, as I say, I spend between 3 and 5 days of the week doing technique.
Now, I see you sometimes using your Garmin. How do you use that in the runs, and how does it help you in your paddling?
Depends. If I'm doing a long race in between islands, I have 2 Garmins. I've got a 920 XT, which shows me the way and where I have to go. And then on my Garmin, I've got speed, distance, time, and heart rate, because I really want to keep my heart rate at MAF, so sort of not kill myself. In a race, obviously, go higher than MAF. And then I can see with my speed if I'm doing well on the runs, and I can see the speed and I watch it, but I don't watch that much. And then I also have my iPhone, which is Endomondo on it, which talks to me. The talking, I find I can hear what my lap speeds are, what my heart rates are, and see how hard I'm going. So it tells me, and normally I sync them, so it talks to me, and then the 1 kilometer flashes up how fast I was going. And yesterday I did a 2:59 for 1 kilometer, which is not too bad.
Jeez,
for an older.
Yeah, that's bloody quick. I'll have to try and beat that one day. Now tell me, how do you train for the Molokai?
Well, I don't. I only do downwind paddles, so I'm either doing technique or downwind on the paddling side, and I'll do 80, 100 kilometer paddles. I like to be really ready to go because it's a really tough race. It's hot. It's one of those the races where the guys are going really fast, so you on the limit the whole time. So I'll do a lot of 40, 60, and 80 kilometer paddles, and maybe throw in a few hundreds. And then I normally run, swim, or cycle every morning, just to give me cross training. And I do all the run, swim, and cycling at MAF, which means 180 minus your age. So nice, not very fast stuff. And maybe I must do a little bit faster stuff because I never actually train hard. I only do runs and technique. I don't actually go there and paddle 10Ks or 5Ks. Haven't done that for 10 years. And I don't go and do a flat-out session. Maybe once a week I might do that, and I'll probably try and do that now, once a week, twice a week.
So you almost say with your paddling, you don't do high-intensity paddling. It's more continuous.
Zero. Yeah, continuous. No, technique. My technique is doing drills. I've got a whole set of drills that I use. And then what I do is in the drills, I do 30 strokes at 8 kilometers an hour, 30 strokes at 10, and 30 strokes at 12, and then I do my drills. So I'm just slowly increasing. So towards the end of the session, I'm going quite fast, like 18 kilometers an hour. So that's the only sort of intense stuff, and then I'm resting all the way. So I'm not doing very high intense paddling at all. Probably do total of 3 minutes or 4 minutes in my technique session where I'm actually going over MAF. So everything's just done really relaxed, concentrating on technique as opposed to power.
Now, how many weeks or months from race day should one increase their mileage when training for the Molokai surf ski race? I actually remember speaking to your...
Yeah, we've got 13 weeks to go, and then now 13 weeks to go, and I'll probably do in the next 10 weeks, do at least 140 or 50 kilometer paddle every week. And if the wind blows, I'll do 2 or 3 in a week, and then technique in between. So you want to get a good base now, so at 3 hours you've got the power to race the Hanks, the Corries, and the Jaspers, and the short runs. So you want to have a good base, and you want to be fit after 3 hours.
But in terms of kilometers, like let's say someone training for the Molokai, how would you break it up into the weeks prior? If you're looking, So you should start how many weeks out training for the Molokai, and then just a simplified explanation.
Yeah, so the simple way I do it, basically, it's a one-day race. So once you've done a 40 or 50 or 60-kilometer paddle in the week, you have a rest day the next day, and then maybe just do, for people that like paddling hard, a 5 or 10K, concentrating on technique and things like that. And then every time there's a downwind, you've got to do downwind sessions. And then what I do, I will throw in a 2-kilometer paddling in the Dora River, which basically in that 2-hour paddle, I'll do 1 kilometer drills, then paddle for 1 kilometer. So it works the 2 hours. So I'm always concentrating technique on flat water. I'm not wasting my time just paddling fast on flat water. I just want to concentrate on drills all the time. So I'll do 1 kilometer drill, 1 kilometer putting that drill into action. And then every time the wind blows, I don't care what it is, depends how tired I am, I want to do between, my normal paddle is 40 kilometers to 80 kilometers. I'm always doing one a week. And then if I get lucky and I will sometimes do 3 or 4 days of downwind in a row, because I don't get tired doing downwind, but it does work you over if you do 3 in a row. It's also like doing 60, 70 kilometers. If you do 40 kilometers in a row, you do feel it. And that's good for your training. Although I always keep in MEF and I'm not too tired on any of them. So and I try and go hard. So I'll do definitely one hard long one a week, and then break up the rest of the week with your swimming, running, and maintaining overall fitness. So going out and basically, if you're starting now, which is 13 weeks, I would increase my training from once a week 20, then 30, then 40. That's already going through. So then 10 weeks out, then you go to the 50s, then the 60s, and then at 3 weeks out, you normally start. You don't do that many. So 2 weeks out, I start slowing down. I'll only do 40K paddles, not the 50s and 60s, and mix it up with technique and getting into speed towards the end.
Now, what do you do to maintain your body with all that high volume of paddling?
Well, the most important thing is there's a few things. Obviously, I do a lot of panting, so low. I'm always in ketosis, and then I do intermittent fasting, which is fun, which really makes you really fit fast. So the intermittent fasting is where you fast between 24, 48, and 7 days or 14 days. I don't think I'll do a 14-day, but I'll definitely do 7 days. And so you're really working on putting your body under strain, but not big strain, because you're keeping under your maximum aerobic function, which is 180 minus your age. So I'm around 120, now going up to 125. But because I've been doing it for such a long time, I can hang around about 130 heart rate, and I'll keep that on an 80K paddle. I won't go over. Even though there's a run there, and I'm like on 130, I'm thinking, oh man, I want to catch this run. And I said, no, today's a math session, then I won't go. If I say I'm going to go hard, so what sometimes I do is do 40Ks at math, and then the last 20, I said, okay, let me see. And I'll take it up to 160, 165, catching the runs. So that's the only thing. So I like swimming, important. I do 3 times a week swimming. I swim between 2Ks, just so that I can make sure that I keep my back and everything nice and loose. And then my exercise, I always do push-ups. I probably do 100 and 150 push-ups every day, but very slow ones, which is concentrating purely on like being a plank, but not sitting there like a plank where you got no movement. I actually move and do a push-up. And I do that in the morning and the evening, before and after bed. Before and after going to bed.
And what do you eat on a typical training day?
Well, I normally have a bulletproof coffee in the morning, and that is it. And then I'll train. So I will do, on a hard day, I'll do at least 1 hour running and 1 hour swimming. That's one of my sessions. And then from that session, I'll go to the Nello factory, and then at lunchtime, I'll go and do a downwind of 40 or 50, and I still wouldn't have eaten anything. I might have sipped some water, and in the evening, I'll have something to eat. And if I'm on an intermittent fasting, I'll do 2 days fasting, just to push my body to the ultimate to see how far I can go without eating, without having any supplements, which definitely works.
Now, what is your difference between working for, on another topic, sorry, what is your difference between working for Epic and now working for Nello? How have those experiences been?
No, it's been fantastic. I mean, I've got a fantastic partner, the guy, Nello Ramos, who's actually, he started Nello, and I met him many years ago in Portugal and in the Sella Descent, and our paths crossed again. In fact, he's actually from Angola and then moved to, so we're both from Africa. And then he moved to Porto, Portugal. And Nello this year is celebrating 40 years. So they've got a lot of experience. I don't have to get as much involved like I was in Epic in production. They've really got it. They've really got it and doing it very well. So I don't have to spend that much time. I just look at a bit of quality in the morning, and I'm not really needed there to watch over people's shoulders. Doing the whole counting department, everything's very good. Sales, everything's run because it's all under one roof, where Epic's all over the place. You've got manufacturing in China, head office in design office in Seattle, head office in Charleston, and sales office in Tampa. So it's all over the place. We're here, everything's under one roof. We don't. Everything's in one factory, 21,000 square meters, so probably double or three times the size of Epic. We make probably also 3 or 4 times many canoes and kayaks and surf skis than Epic. Okay.
What have you learned from running coaching clinics all around the world?
Yeah, I mean, I've been coaching for 15, 20 years. I've been doing it, and I've learned that I get very frustrated. My objective when I coach is that the people improve. So I really try and break it down. I give them notes. I learn from what their mistakes they're making, and then I develop drills and things that'll help them, as opposed, and I also do it myself. And so now this year I'll probably start my online coaching, because people want more than just seeing me once a year when I come to Australia or Japan or all over the world, so that they can actually register online, and I can give them critique, and I give them what they have to do every week, and that should be launching in the next couple of weeks.
Now, I know you went to Olympics for sprinting, and you've won national and titles, including 11 single ski and 12 double ski titles. How has this helped your long distance paddling?
No, I mean, the funny thing about surf ski paddling, especially downwind, it's very explosive. You actually need a lot of speed. That's why sprinters can do fairly well at downwind paddling. They just normally haven't got the legs. So it's good to have the background. Sprinting, especially the flat water sprinting, you become a real good technician of your technique. Technique's very important when you're winning by half a second or hundredths of a second. Your technique invariably is the one that's going to win you the gold medal. So you're constantly and focusing on technique, which is important, because when you're in the waves, the first thing that goes is your technique. Everything goes in your balance. You spend your life balancing. You're not worrying about your technique. And sprinting, you are worrying about your technique. So it helps a lot for long distance paddling. The better your technique is, the longer you can last. I mean, as I say, I'm nearly 55, and exactly, in fact, 7 days' time, I'm 55, and I can keep up with most people around the world. And on a downwind, I know I can still probably, and I hope to still win on the longer races.
It may be a good idea that you give away a free surf ski on your birthday, just as a promotional tool.
I wish. I wish.
Now,
you can't make enough.
Do you think surf ski paddling is heading in the right direction?
Yeah, I definitely think it is. It's growing all over the world. I mean, it's really growing in Europe fantastically well, and in America it's growing. And with the advent and now the 510 Cup that we've established, now we're going to take it around the world, where everybody paddles the same craft, and it gets more people in. You don't have to be an expert. You jump on a plastic 510 and you paddle with the best in the world. You've got no advantage to having a lighter boat or a longer boat or a different manufacturer's boat. You just jump in and have fun. And it brings a lot of people that are in the paddling sport into surf ski particularly. And surf skis can go anywhere, anytime, any water. And that's the difference. That's why it'll always keep growing, because it's a fun sport. I mean, believe me, the Olympics is a lot of hard work. It's not so much fun. Maybe when you win a gold medal, it's fun, but it's so much hard work. In a surf ski, how many people would do on a K1 80 kilometers? Nobody.
That's true. You're 100% right. Now, what's next on the cards for you in terms of big races, Oscar?
Well, I fly back on Saturday, and I'll coach in Dubai for one day, and then from there I'll go back to Porto and I'll race the 510 Cup next Saturday the 3rd. And then from the 510 Cup I'll go and coach in Israel, and I'll do a race in Israel. And then from Israel I'll head over to America, and then I'll have the Shark Bite Challenge and the Carolina Cup, 2 American races. Again, I'll be teaching and showing, displaying my Nillo products and teaching, and then hopefully try and win. And then from there I come back to Porto, do a bit of more training, and then I go to Molokai in May. I go to Spain in the beginning of May for the Euro Challenge. Hopefully some win there, and then from the Euro Challenge off I go to Hawaii. So that takes you to May, and then when I come back, then I've got Germany, and I've got Spain again, and so many races every weekend. I'm away,
wow,
either teaching, training. So it's tough. You live at a suitcase for at least 260 to 300 days of the year.
The last question of the day. I think, so, in my opinion, it feels like South African sport, and I'm not just talking about surf ski paddling. I would even say rugby, swimming. Especially life-saving, particularly. It seems to be going through a negative trend where we just aren't getting the results against the international competitors. What do you think it takes to get us to the next level where we can start climbing a ladder again and start getting, podium positions in the respective sports?
Yeah, I think, those sports are taking a lot of strain. But again, you've got heroes and superheroes in this. Hank's still winning marathon champs and even with Jasper and Andy Burkett really up there in the marathon canoeing. And then you've got in surf ski paddling, you've got Sean Rice and Hank racing against Corey. So we're doing well in those sports, and the reason why we're doing that well in those sports, and you've got Chad Lecoe in swimming is doing well, is that you're getting pushed by other people, and that's what you need. You need a very good, solid base. If you've got a whole lot of good people, you will obviously, it's tougher to win in your country, and if it's tough to win in your country, then suddenly because you've got so much competition in your country, you start getting faster internationally, and that's how it happened. When Herman and I were racing, we were first and second every single time, because every time we were training together, racing in South Africa, it was tough. It was as tough as racing internationally, and the same thing's happening in surf ski paddling. That's why you'll find a lot of South Africans at the top of the surf ski market. And life saving has become smaller in South Africa when I was doing it, and now there's not so much competition. You've got a guy like Matthew who's still competing in sprints at 40. It's not going to happen in Australia, because they've got so many young guys snapping at their heels that's going to beat them. So that's the difference. And it's the same rugby. Obviously, that's a more administration and a political problem, and the same with cricket. But I think we'll go through these phases. You always go through these phases of having good and bad paddlers or swimmers. But I think in the paddling and life-saving, and surf ski paddling and long distance, I think we're right at the top and doing well. And likewise, in marathon paddling, we're doing really well.
Oscar, thanks so much for taking the time to chat to me today. I know our audience out there will definitely have gained some great tips for trying to improve their sport, and hopefully I can have a chat to you before the Molokai and get the inside scoop.
Great pleasure. Well, good speaking to you and good seeing you. You're looking fit. Now you just got to get fast.
Yeah, true. That's the goal.
Okay. Cheers.